Hello everyone, this is your African child. There is a pandemic that has been eating Africa alive for centuries. No, I'm not talking about the COVID. I'm talking about a dangerous pandemic. Pandemic that has been stealing our culture, that has been stealing our intelligence, that has been stealing our self-confidence, that has rendered Africans lifeless. This pandemic causes us to beg all the time. How it gave us inferiority complex when we see ourselves and people that look exactly like us, black people, and always see white people with superiority. We need to get rid of this pandemic. We need to know and assess where this came from, how this started, and how it has captivated our soul, our senses, our minds, our spirit, and the mindset of the people that brought this disease to us. And when we get to that, when we see their mindset, we can analyze and diagnose ourselves and then find the antidote for this pandemic. Today I want to discuss with you the letter from King Leopold II of Belgium that he wrote to his colonial missionaries in 1883. It will make you understand the thinking and the mindset of the white man that brought religion to Africa. And then you will realize that it was not meant for what you think it was meant for. That they have ulterior motive. This letter, I hope, will shed some light onto your understanding. And this is what he wrote. Reverence, fathers, and dear compatriots, the task that is given to fulfill is very delicate and require much tact. You will go certainly to evangelize, but your evangelization must inspire above all Belgian interest. Your principal objective in our mission in the Congo is never to teach the niggers to know God. This they know already. They speak and submit to Mungu, one Zambi, and what else I do not know. They know that to kill, to sleep with someone else's wife, to lie, and to insult is bad. This is the man writing to his commissionaries. This man never stepped foot on the African soil, never stepped foot in Congo land. But this man knew the lifestyle, the culture, the spirituality of the Congolese people. And he wrote this letter to his commissionaries that have come to teach the Congolese about religion, specifically Christianity. And this man said, the Congolese know God already. Christianity was not brought to the Congolese people to teach them about God, but it was brought to them as a disguise to steal them of who they really are. It was brought to them to strip them of their confidence, of their identity, to kind of succumb them to the whims of the white people. So he said, they speak and submit to Mungu, one Zambi, one Zakomba, and what else I do not know. This tell you that the Congolese worship a God that is identical to them. In other words, a black God. If you look at the continents all over the world, you realize that all countries in these respective continents worship gods that are identical to them. But when you go to Africa, when you come to Africa, you see that Africans worship God that is not identical to them. They worship God that has been introduced to them to diminish their own identity and self-confidence, but to see the white person as superior. So King Leopold, who was not in Congo, was able to tell how the Congolese live their life, how they worship, who they believe in, who they succumb to, who their God is. And this man said they know that to kill, to sleep with someone else's wife, to lie and to insult is bad. I always ask myself, who were black people praying to before the arrival of the white person, of the white missionaries that came and deceived us, destroyed our identities, taught us to hate ourselves? Who were we praying to? What God were we worshiping? And he continued to say that your essential role is to facilitate the tasks of administrators and industrials, which means you will go to interpret the gospel in a way it will be the best to protect your interest in that part of the world. For these things, you have to keep watch on disinteresting our savages from the richness that is plenty in their underground, to avoid that they get interested in it and make you murderers, competition, and dream one day to overthrow you. So they came knowing that Africa is endowed with natural resources, but in order for them to be able to have a hand in tapping those natural resources, they have to come in wolves disguised with religion, particularly Christianity, as a means to get to the people, to be able to win their trust and then be able to steal those resources. Your knowledge of the gospel will allow you to find tests, ordering and encouraging your followers to love poverty. Like happier are the people because they will inherit the heaven, and it's very difficult for the rich to enter the kingdom of God. These things were used to indoctrinate the black people. They were used to keep us in poverty while they steal our natural resources to ship to their countries and then enrich themselves. I mean, if being poor is what will get you heaven, why would they strip us of our natural resources to take to their countries and make their countries rich? This is a letter from a man, King Leopold, who killed almost 20 million Congolese without stepping foot in Congo. He's the man that chopped off the hands of Congolese, and these hands were shipped to him as a souvenir of his good work. The man who brought Christianity, the man who disguised himself with Christianity. He said that you have to detach from them and make them disrespect everything which gives them courage to affront us. I make reference to their mystic system and their war fetish, warfare protection, which they pretend not to want to abandon. And you must do everything in your power to make it disappear. They came with an agenda. They came with an agenda to strip black people of their identity, their true self, and fill them with inferiority complex. And this inferiority complex has eaten us alive up until today. That is why we as black people do not encourage our fellow black men. But when we see a white man, we want to do everything to uplift them. When a black man produces a product, black people do not want to patronage. But when a white man produces something, it is great, even if it is inferior to that of the black man. This is not a day's job. This has eaten us alive for centuries. He also said that your actions will be directed essentially to the younger ones, for they won't revolt when the recommendation of the priest is contradictory to their parents' teachings. The children have to learn to obey what the missionaries recommends, who is the father of their soul. He did not say God is the father of your soul. I'm talking about the God that they brought to us. But he's saying that the missionaries are the father of the souls of the black people. Now, if a man has your soul, the body, the mind, your intelligence will follow suit. Whatsoever the man tells you is what you are going to do. It is no wonder that religion is destroying Africans. That our own culture we have abandoned and taken upon us the culture of some other people that we do not even relate to. This king knew how to get to Africans and make us succumb to their whims, so that we live according to their wishes and not be able to think for ourselves. And this is still eating Africans up to today. He also said that you must singularly insist on their total submission and obedience. Avoid developing the spirit in the schools. Teach students to read and not to reason. Evangelize the niggers so that they stay forever in submission to the white colonialist, so they never revolt against the restraint they are undergoing. Recite every day, happy are those who are weeping, because the kingdom of God is for them. They knew how to get to us. They had a strategy, and the strategy is still working up until today. That is why a lot of Africans will go to church 7 days a week, praying for manna to fall from heaven, praying for God to introduce to them a miracle, praying for something to drop on their lap. But at the end of the day, the equation of success has nothing to do with prayer, but it has all and everything to do with hard work, plan, and grit. This is how Christianity was brought to Congo. He also said, convert always the blacks by using the whip. Keep their women in 9 months of submission to work freely for us. Force them to pay you in signs of recognition, goats, chicken, or eggs every time you visit their villages. And make sure that the niggers never become rich. Sing every day that it's impossible for the rich to enter heaven. Make them pay tax each week at Sunday Mass. Use the money supposed for the poor to build flourish business centers. Institute a confessional system which allows you to be good detectives, denouncing any black that has a different consciousness contrary to that of the decision maker. And the decision maker was the white man. That you convert the black people, the black men, by the whip. You beat them into submission. Now they were able to do all this because they had guns, because they have the ammunition to conquer, to kill, to cause damage. This is how this king dominated the Congolese, my African brothers and sisters. And the same system, the same way of converting people was introduced in various African countries, be it Christianity or Muslim. It continues to say that teach these niggas to forget their heroes and to adore only ours. Never present a chair to a black that comes to visit you. Don't give him more than one cigarette. Never invite him for dinner, even if he gives you a chicken every time you arrive at his house. This letter explicitly lets you know the intention of this king when they were invading the Congo. And I want to let you know that even though it was ages ago, it was centuries ago, these intentions are still coming on today. That all these subset of these religions, Catholics, Methodists, they still carry these effects on our people today. And in Ghana, about 90% of the Ghanaian population are either Christians or Muslims. And there are churches springing up everywhere instead of businesses, instead of companies, instead of schools and hospitals. These churches still unknowingly propose some of these doctrines of this king. Servitude, slavery, not thinking for yourself, not being able to analyze things, to think critically, that you will learn to only read, but not to critically think. That at the end of the day, you are just a robot, being manipulated, but you do not know because you have no idea that you are being used. Now think about it. The people that brought religion to us do not allow these religions to be taught in their schools. You cannot even pray in your schools. When you go to Europe, when you come to United States of America, you cannot pray in their schools. You cannot teach religion in the schools. But trust me, in Africa, in Ghana, religions are taught in schools. Why are indoctrinating these kids, these children, to grow up to be inferior to the white race, to look at themselves with inferiority complex, but to look at the white people with superiority complex, because religion helps solidify that thinking. It helps the child to see himself or herself as inferior, as inadequate, mediocre. That is why this ideology of this King Leopold is being perpetuated up to today. Now look at our schools. I remember when I was in school, in my own country, when I speak my native language in my school, I will be punished. But I don't get punished when I speak English. Think about it. As a child, growing up, speaking my own language, I get punished. What do you think affects my identity, my self-confidence as a Ghanaian? We end up seeing ourselves as the unablest. We cannot do anything by ourselves. We unintentionally shut our mind and refuse to dive deep to find solutions that works to our own problems. That is why we always look up onto the advanced countries, onto the Europeans, onto Americans for solutions to our own problems. I quite remember there was a statue in front of where I used to go to church when I visit my grandma in the village. And in front of the church, a Roman Catholic church, there was a statue of an angel, a white man angel with wings, standing on a devil, on the neck of a devil who was a black man with horns and a sword drawn. When I was a kid, I used to see this every time I go to church when I visit my grandma. What does this image tell every child that sees this image? Black men are evil. Black men are the devil. You got to hate black men. But I am black man. So if I'm being taught to hate black men, in other words, I am being taught to hate myself. Religion did not come to show us God, because we already knew who God was. God is like me. God is like you. We already knew that sleeping with somebody's wife is a sin. We already knew that killing somebody is not good. We already had our own morals. We already had our own way of life that made us live peacefully. And this kid knew that. So he had to find a way to destroy our own culture, our own identity, our own way of life, so that we will succumb to their way of life, and then we'll become servitude to them, and then they will have us as they deem fit. And this has been going on for generations. I try as much as possible to speak to everyone in Africa, because if I speak in only Twi, that means I'll be speaking to only Ghanaians. But I seek the liberation of all Africans and the African continent as a whole. If you like and enjoy this video, please like and share. And better yet, comment, because that really inspires me to put up more videos. Africa will resurrect and revive Africa. But we need to undo what was done, to liberate our consciousness, to emancipate ourselves mentally, to be able to do that.